Good evening. My name is Jennifer Dillaboo, and it's my pleasure to not only welcome you tonight, but to serve as President and CEO of your University of Illinois Alumni Association. Tonight marks the latest offering in the association's new online speaker series, which was launched in late January of this year. And we're so pleased our featured speaker agreed to join us tonight. Illinois alumnus Josh Whitman was hired as the university's 14th permanent director of athletics almost 5 years ago to the day. Josh's "We Will Win" mantra and message of unity, optimism, and bold action have rekindled the fire in the hearts of Illini fans everywhere. The competitiveness of the Illinois programs has seen marked improvement under Josh's leadership, and DIA's facilities have benefited from the aggressive agenda he set upon his hiring. Highlights include the Henry Dale and Betty Smith Football Center, the Mersham Park, the Susan and Clint Atkins Baseball Training Center, and the Rex and Alice A. Martin Softball Training Center. Josh also spearheaded the development of the Fighting Illini Center for Excellence, a centralized hub of student-athlete support services located in Memorial Stadium. To support this facilities plan and various other strategic initiatives, he has achieved unprecedented success on the fundraising trail, generating more than $150 million in donated funds, including several of the largest single gifts in program history. A former academic All-American at Illinois, Josh emphasizes strong performance by Fighting Illini student athletes in the classroom as well. In each year of his tenure, student athletes have posted a combined GPA of above 3.12. Josh came home to Champaign-Urbana following almost 2 years as Director of Athletics at WashU in St. Louis. He has 2 Illinois degrees, graduating Bronze Tablet in 2001, while earning a bachelor's degree in finance. And in 2008, he graduated summa cum laude from the Illinois College of Law. On the gridiron for the Fighting Illini, Josh was a 4-year starting tight end and 2-time first-team academic All-American. He then spent parts of 4 seasons as a player in the NFL, including stints with the San Diego Chargers, Miami Dolphins, Seattle Seahawks, and Buffalo Bills. Prior to embarking on his career in athletics administration, Josh practiced law in Washington, D.C. He and his lovely wife, Hope, have 2 children and are active and involved members of the broader CU community. So having shared all that, I'll end by saying it's no wonder Josh is considered not only the finest athletic director in the Big Ten, but in any conference. And with that, Josh, I'll turn it over to you, and thanks again for being here tonight.
Well, thank you, Jen, and for what it's worth, other than you and my wife and maybe my mother, I don't know that anybody else shares that same opinion about where I might rank in the athletic directors, but I appreciate it very much, and it's always great to be with fellow Illini. I appreciate everyone taking time out of their busy schedules to join us this evening. I understand you've had an opportunity to hear from many great Illini through this series, including our new head football coach, and really honored to be able to follow in their footsteps. But it's been a great day to be an Illini. I hope you had a chance to get outside if you're here local and enjoy some of the weather. But it's always warm whenever we get the Illini together, and appreciate very much people taking some time to visit with us tonight. You know, before I spend some time talking specifically about athletics, I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't spend at least a minute just talking about how proud I am to be affiliated with this great university. Setting aside the athletic program, let's all recognize that COVID-19 has changed our world, and never have I seen the university marshal all of its incredible resources together to pinpoint and address and problem solve a present day issue the way that we have around COVID. It's been breathtaking for me to watch, and really a privilege for me to have a front row seat to watch us direct our innovation, to watch us direct our engineering, to watch us direct all this incredible brain power that we have and focus it in on this one issue that has affected the entire globe, and to watch us change it and address it and navigate it, to be able to create our own proprietary saliva test, to be able to navigate and continue to teach and research here on our campus in the midst of the pandemic has really been pretty remarkable. And so I can't say enough good things about our entire university, our system, our board of trustees, our president, our chancellor, Robert Jones here on our campus, our provost, Andreas Canzaleris, and so many other senior leaders, people who have truly dedicated their every waking moment they've had here for the last year to accelerating this university in the face of unprecedented situations. And it just has been an incredible privilege to have a part in this great university, and hopefully something that has brought great pride and excitement to alumni and Illini the world over. Likewise, I'm very proud of our student athletes, our staff. There were days last summer, if we wanted to go back in time, when I remember we would have a weekly call with our student athletes every Wednesday night. And I remember talking to them. They were spread all over the country. They had been sent home on a moment's notice in the springtime, as you'll remember, and they had found ways to continue to train. They were lifting water bottles, and they were jumping on trash cans, and they were pushing cars, and they were finding all these creative ways to stay active, to stay fit, to stay ready. And I remember talking to them about exactly that. Hey, we don't know when the light is going to turn green, but we know that it will. And when it happens, we've got to be ready to answer the bell. And at the time I said it, I know in my heart I believed it, but I wasn't sure in my head how soon that would happen. And so it really does my heart well to be able to sit here today on March 8th and know that we are 4 seasons concluded now with football, indoor track and field on the men's and women's side, and swimming. All have their seasons in the books, and we have 17 other sports all competing at the same time now, which has been unprecedented in so many ways, and a great opportunity for our staff and our student athletes to have really one of the most memorable and special springs in the history of Illinois athletics. But I just couldn't be prouder and more grateful to our medical staff for the guidance that they've created, for the leadership that our coaching staff has shown throughout this entire experience, the commitment, as I mentioned, with our student athletes that they have shown to continue to push and improve, and ultimately the flexibility that all of our people have shown. We have had to pivot time and time again as we have navigated this entire situation, and I just couldn't say enough good things about their willingness to adapt, and how that has shown their true character as we work through the pandemic together. As I head into my remarks, I want to touch briefly here, and Jen mentioned a bit of this in the introduction, but we've done a lot of facilities work here over the last 5 years, and I won't belabor any one of those projects, but I did want to focus briefly on 3 of them that are upcoming that I think are exciting and worth discussing. Number one, and I think you've probably read a little bit about this if you follow our program, but we do have a renovation of the Oven basketball complex that we will undertake here at the conclusion of the basketball season. This is a building that now is over 20 years old. It has aged well for us. It was one of the first, maybe the very first, standalone basketball practice facility of its kind in the country. And there were many years where we had schools flying in from all over to see what we had in the Oven building so they could benchmark against it and build something that was similar and increasingly better as time went on. What we've seen now is the needs of the teams have changed. Training methods are different, staffing sizes are different, recruiting is different. And so we're prepared to make significant investment in that facility. As I mentioned, we'll break ground on that in April, and we'll be finished with that project by the fall in 2022. It'll be about an 18-month build for us. We'll more than double the square footage of the oven facility, and will be a great opportunity for the young men and women who are involved in our Illinois basketball programs to take yet another step forward with their teams. Another exciting project that you might have seen us talk about online is the Diversion Park project. This is the new home for Illinois soccer and men's and women's track and field. We've never really had a great venue for those sports. We moved the track facility out of the stadium, as some of you will remember, back in the early 1990s. When we started soccer in the late 1990s, we dropped a field on the infield of the track. We've never had permanent locker room facilities for them. We've never had a permanent restrooms, permanent concession stands, grandstands for fans to watch. And so we've had an opportunity now to go in and correct that. We're building separate facilities for both. They will have a shared stadium with stands that look to the east on 2 soccer fields and to the west on a brand new track and field facility. It will be state of the art, absolutely beautiful. We will host the outdoor Big Ten track and field championships this spring in the new facility. We're nearing completion on that. We expect to open the doors officially here in the next several weeks. But it'll be a beautiful project and one that will ultimately impact over 25% of our student athlete population between our track and field, cross country student athletes, as well as our soccer team. It's a big number when you put all those folks together, and really excited to give them a new home, and well deserved, and candidly probably long overdue for them. And then the last project that I think may have some interest to folks on the line is the Atkins Golf Club at the University of Illinois. So you may have read last summer, we were very fortunate to be the beneficiaries of a very meaningful gift from the Atkins family of a golf course. They donated what was formerly known as the Stone Creek Golf Course, located in southeast Urbana, along with a large parcel of real estate that was in the surrounding area, the surrounding neighborhood. Total gift valued at over $15 million. Will give us a great opportunity to build a championship caliber home for our championship caliber men's and women's varsity golf programs, 2 programs that I know don't need a lot of introduction with this group. And we're incredibly excited about that. We're in the midst of the renovation to the golf course now. That's an effort that will continue here over the spring and summer. Would anticipate opening that up to the public sometime around the beginning of the football season. We'll see how the construction goes here in the coming months. But it'll be a great home for the golf programs, and I think a great venue for our public to consume here locally, in an area that I hope all of you as alumni, when you come back into town for various events, you'll find your way out to the new Atkins Club. We'll have great dining options there. We'll have a great golf course and a lot of great meeting venues as well. And so excited about that project, and looking forward to getting it open and giving people a chance to experience the Atkins Club down in southeast Urbana. I'll transition and talk a bit about our teams themselves. They always say that absence makes the heart grow fonder, and that seems to have been the case with our student athletes. They've come back really with reckless abandon. They've attacked their respective sports since arriving on campus, whether it was last summer or in the fall. Their training has an intensity, and there's just an enthusiasm to them about having the chance to put on the uniform and go out and compete again after feeling that void for so many months. And it's been incredibly rewarding for me to be around them, and I know that our coaches have felt the same way. But we do currently have 7 of our teams that are ranked in their respective national rankings. 4 of those teams, men's golf, men's gymnastics, men's tennis, and of course men's basketball, are ranked in their respective top 10s. We're very proud of the performances that we're showing here early in the spring. We have a women's cross country team that we just found yesterday, has qualified as a team for the NCAA championships. That's a team that is on the rise for us. Sarah Havmans, who our relatively new head coach there, is doing a fantastic job. Of course, we'll learn the fate of our men's basketball program. I'll talk more about them this weekend, but we anticipate that we'll be in the line for a number 1 seed there. Wrestling just concluded the Big Ten championships. They'll head into the national tournament here shortly. So our teams are doing incredibly well. Very proud again of the work and the commitment that they've shown just to put themselves in a position to go out and compete at a high level. It's been a long road to get here, and something that I think none of us at this point are taking for granted. I do want to mention, certainly, I think everyone knows and expects that if you're going to be a Fighting Illini student athlete, your commitment to excellence will not start and end with the work that you do in your competitive arena. We all have high expectations that our student athletes will perform at an equally high level in the classroom. I'm very proud to report that the fall semester, the fall of 2020, was one of, if not the greatest semester that we have seen amongst Illinois student athletes. Our men and women were able to post a combined grade point average of 3.52, the highest on record in the athletic program. We had 21 consecutive semesters. It was our 21st consecutive semester, I should say, of achieving a GPA of over a 3.0. All 19 of our teams earned a 3.0 with a team GPA as the first time in our history that has happened, and 83% of all student athletes were able to earn a 3.0 GPA. And so as much as I applaud them for the work that they're doing in their respective sports, certainly it goes without saying that the work they're doing in the classroom is every bit the equal, if not the superior of what they're doing competitively. And it's really a testament to our academic support staff. It's a testament to our coaches who continue to make the classroom work of our student athletes a priority. And of course, it's a tremendous testament to our student athletes who have demonstrated the same commitment to excellence and striving for that brass ring in their academic pursuits the way that they do in their athletic. Spend a couple minutes talking specifically about two of our sports, two that get a lot of attention publicly. Number one is football. I believe, as I said, Coach Bielema, I think, has already had an opportunity to meet with many of you on this call through this group, and I appreciate very much the invitation to have him come visit with you. I just couldn't be more excited about his arrival. He has exceeded our admittedly high expectations in every way. I was so confident in him after spending extensive time with him prior to our decision and ultimately hiring him. But as we've gotten to know each other more and as I've watched him work, I am just so impressed with who he is as a leader, with who he is as a person, his character, his integrity, his priority, his value system. They very much mirror who we are here at the University of Illinois, and really looking forward to seeing this team take the field in the fall. He's hired a tremendous staff, a staff that I would put up against any staff in this country. I think that's, again, a testament to his reputation, to his ability to cast a vision and to bring people who want to be around him and who want to be a part of building something special, which is, of course, our goal here at the University of Illinois. I'm impressed with the way he's re-recruited our current team. A lot of you know that there are increasingly high numbers of people who are choosing to put themselves into the infamous transfer portal. That's something that we've been largely able to avoid throughout the offseason. We have a group of what we're calling super seniors. Because of the pandemic, the NCAA has allowed this year's seniors who played in this past fall to return for another year of eligibility to receive financial aid. And Coach Bielema, to his credit, has been able to re-recruit the largest number of those people in the country to come back and be a part of Illinois football for one last go-around. And that's gives us a chance. As we all know, the chance you have to play with older, more experienced players, especially in a sport like football, has a chance to be a difference maker for us. And so very excited about having that group back. It's a group that's been through a lot of growing pains for this program. Had a chance to go to that bowl game 2 seasons ago, and really excited for them to have a chance to compete again, hopefully with some people in the stands in a more traditional season, and hopefully go out and get us back into the postseason. Really impressed with the work that Coach has done on the recruiting side in terms of going out and recruiting high school players. Transfer student athletes will, I think, continue to become an increasingly important part of our roster composition, not just here at Illinois, but I think all universities across the country. I've been particularly impressed with his work connecting with our state high schools. That was an area where I felt like we needed to make some improvements. And if you follow this, you know that we have now made personal contact with every high school football coach in the state of Illinois over the last 2 or 3 weeks. And that is not an easy thing to do. And Coach and his staff put together a plan. They worked through it methodically. We've now had at least phone communication with every one of those coaches, and really looking forward to continuing to grow and improve those relationships. And I think ultimately that demonstrates, in a nutshell, what we've seen with Coach. He has a plan. He has a plan for where he wants this program to go. And I think even more importantly, he has a plan for how this program will get there. And that's something that I have tremendous respect for, and certainly something that I think we should all be impressed by. 2 quick comments in terms of logistical issues related to football. Number one, Many of you have probably seen the disappointing news that we shared a few weeks back that our season opener, which we were excited to play in Ireland, because of the pandemic, has had to come back here stateside. The silver lining to that is that we'll be able to retain the same date. So we will still open on August 28th, which in football parlance is referred to as week 0. That will give us a national stage, and will be the first high major football game played in the country, us against the Cornhuskers from Nebraska. We'll be able to do it here in the friendly confines of Memorial Stadium and have a national television audience to watch. A great way to usher in Coach Bielema and make his debut here on our home turf, and excited about that. So as disappointed as we were not to be able to go to Ireland, we'll look for a future date to still be able to provide that opportunity to our team. But in the short term, we'll look to make it 2 in a row against the Huskers on August 28th here in Memorial Stadium. With that in mind, last point I want to make on football, we do anticipate opening up season ticket sales here soon, potentially as early as sometime this week. We don't yet know what will be allowed in the stadium, and we'll be prepared to adjust as needed. But we know that there is a lot of pent-up demand right now for Illinois football. There are a lot of people who are hungry to get back on this campus, who are looking forward to a fall, who are excited about the new era with the new leadership. And we certainly want to welcome as many people as we're allowed to when that ball kicks off on that Saturday in late August. And so excited about that, and looking forward to having some fans back in the stands, and hopefully the virus will cooperate here over the months ahead, and hopefully that can be a large number as we transition into fall, but time will tell for us. Last but not least, I want to wrap up with something that's certainly been occupying a lot of our energy and imaginations here over the last many weeks, and that's the success of our basketball program. I just couldn't be happier for the people involved with our Illinois Hoops team. It has been a pleasure for me to have a chance to be along for the ride with them, to see the culture that Coach Underwood has built, to see the way that team cares about one another, the level of confidence that they have, the degree that they're playing in really hard circumstances. I think we all know how difficult the pandemic has been to play in empty buildings. You think you're going to play a game on a particular night, it gets changed at the last minute. Here in the last 2 weeks, the stretch that they've endured with 5 out of their last 6 games on the road. They played 4 games in 8 days. We played 3 top 25 teams here in the last week, 2 in the top 10, and to continue to win these games the way that we have is just incredibly rewarding for me, and I know for our team. And we are really excited about this postseason. We'll have the 2 seeds as we head into the Big Ten tournament. We'll play in the evening on Friday night and look to make a good run there. And then every signal that we have been given is that we'll be on the one line when the NCAA tournament is seeded and announced on Sunday afternoon. And looking forward to a deep run, hopefully all the way to the national championship with this team. And I truly believe this is a team that's capable of that. And again, just so much appreciation and respect for Coach Underwood, for our assistant coaching staff, our support staff, and the young men associated with the Illinois basketball program. It's been a thrill for me, both personally and professionally, to have a seat on this journey with them, and just couldn't be happier for where we are, and more excited about what the future holds. So again, let me just say thanks for having me, and maybe I'll pause there and look to open it up for any questions that folks might have.
Well, Josh, thank you so much for being here again, and just really appreciate the time. I know we've got a great group of alumni on the line right now, and we've certainly got some great questions. But I would just encourage folks to continue to submit those through the Q&A tab at the bottom of your screen, and we'll work to get to as many of those as possible. But I thought I'd kick off with what I hope is a lighthearted question from Stanley Eisenstein. He was asking why you made the decision to dye your beard gray and white. I didn't know if you wanted to maybe address that at all as we get going here.
Well, it's a shame that the pandemic has gone on so long, because I grew my beard out like many people did when the pandemic started. I shaved it off, and yet here I am having grown it out a second time. Needless to say, when I've grown my beard out most winters for the last 10 or 15 years, and When I came here 5 years ago, I'm pretty sure my beard was fully brown. And so it has definitely changed in tone, and especially over the last 12 months, I'm not ashamed to admit. I don't know how many of those are attributable to my 4-year-old and my 2-year-old, or how many are attributable to some of the challenges we've encountered here over the last 12 months. But um, for now, I'm going to keep it. We're on a little bit of a good streak here with basketball. I'm not above a little superstition, but once we get this basketball season over, I feel confident saying that it's probably going to be a goner. So thanks, Stan. I appreciate the comment. My wife says she likes it, so we're gonna roll with it for a while.
Sounds great, and we've certainly come out on the good end of some close games lately. So while that contributes to a few gray hairs, I'm sure we'd rather be on that end of things than the other. Sticking with basketball for a minute, and this is something I know we've heard a lot about recently, but the Big Ten title being awarded to Michigan, we had a few questions. Len Lewicki weighed in, and Mary Knight, just asking kind of how and when the decision was made for them being awarded that, and if there is any chance of something being done or reconsideration of Illinois being the title holder for the Big Ten this year.
Yeah, it's a great question, and something that I have spent an incredible amount of time on here over the last 10 days, 2 weeks. We anticipated that this issue may be brought to a head, and then here over the last 24 hours, certainly we know that it has been. And the decision to use winning percentage was made last fall. It was supported by all the athletic directors, including myself. I think that as in hindsight, I don't necessarily think that's the right approach. I was hopeful that we would be in a position to potentially pivot and adjust based on what we have now, which is the benefit of the full picture of how the season has played out. I don't believe that's going to happen. I'm disappointed by that outcome. I've worked hard, and I believe really strongly in these student athletes. I believe that they've had a championship season, and I think they deserve to be celebrated as such. But it doesn't look like that will be changing from the Big Ten, and I think that's unfortunate. But right now, I also know that we've got a Big Ten tournament that's coming up this weekend, where we have a chance to demonstrate to everybody why perhaps that banner should have been hung. And then we've got an NCAA tournament. And I saw somebody yesterday sent me a text. He said, bigger rings for bigger things. And I think we've got to stay focused on what's in front of us. We all recognize how good this team is. And at this point, what's most important to me is continuing to push them forward and put them in a position to be successful. And we're going to be there every step of the way with them as they do that.
Great. We had a question from Jeff Corrigan here, and I think you've touched on a portion of this already, Josh. But he says you were obviously a stellar student, being a bronze tablet recipient, but obviously the pandemic's been hard on all students and student athletes. How are the student athletes doing mentally and academically? And could you just maybe talk a little bit more about how they're succeeding academically? And he goes on to congratulate you and all of them on the overall GPA of 3.1.
Yeah, thanks. As I mentioned earlier, I think the academic performance speaks for itself. It really has been a pretty remarkable demonstration of our student athletes' ability to focus, of their commitment to excellence. I am concerned, as I think we all should be, about all of us on the mental health side. I think the pandemic has really challenged each and every one of us personally, professionally. And our students, and more specifically our student athletes, are certainly not exempt from that. This has been hard. I mean, this is something that has taken some things away from them that were very much at the center of their being. Something that was really the focus of their waking hours from the minute they woke up until they went to sleep at night. And not being able to be around their teammates, not being able to compete for such an extended period of time. And now having some of these things change as quickly as they do really has been a challenge. We're very mindful of that. And we provide a lot of resources to our student athletes in the areas of mental health. We have a growing mental health, mental resources, mental health professional staff who are available, counselors and such, to assist our student athletes as they navigate issues. We've done everything we can to normalize the need for people to seek that assistance. We don't want there to be any kind um, of a negative connotation attached to that, and so we're doing the best we can in the midst of a challenging environment. I give a lot of credit to our coaches, our athletic trainers, our strength coaches, our academic support staff. There are a lot of people who are around these athletes every single day. And it's critical that they, because they have the benefit of viewing them on a daily basis, they're the ones who are best positioned to identify any concerns, any red flags, anything that may come up that we should be aware of. And the staff has done a great job of bringing those concerns to the right people, and we've rallied around those folks and gotten them support where needed. So it's an ongoing effort. It's something that we're very mindful of day in and day out. As I think we all have, we're all experiencing this in different ways, different emotions on different days. But we're certainly there in making sure that we have ample resources out there so that our student athletes are supported.
So Josh, kind of in that same academic vein, Bill Forsyth asked, how does our graduation rates among athletes rank compared to the Big Ten or the Power Five conferences? And how much emphasis do you place on that as the director of athletics at Illinois?
It's a huge emphasis for us. And ultimately, I tell our coaches, you can go out and find great athletes, but if you don't find people who are academically motivated, they're not going to be a fit at the University of Illinois. And it doesn't mean that we need to go out and recruit exclusively Einsteins, but we need to find people who are excited about the prospect of earning a University of Illinois education, who are committed to doing the right things, to attending class, to turning in their assignments, to meeting with their professors, who grasp on some level, to whatever level you can when you're 18, 19, 20 years old, the power of an Illinois degree. And so we talk about that all the time. And our graduation rate a year ago, I don't remember the specific number, I want to say it was 92, 93%, was a school record. It was the highest in documented history here at Illinois. I'm not entirely sure where that ranks in the conference, but I felt good about how that stood compared to our own history. And I believe it's at least in the top half, if not the upper quartile of the Big Ten. As we all know, this is one of the world's great universities, and one of the benefits, perhaps the largest benefit that we provide to our student athletes by choosing to join the Fighting Illini family is an opportunity to earn a world-class education. And that is a priority in our messaging to our student athletes day in and day out.
So Jeff Corrigan, again, with another great question I wanted to bring forward here. He said, are you excited about bringing Mizzou back to CU for the bragging rights game next year? And congrats on bringing that back to campus, to each campus, I should say.
Yeah, so there's two distinctions there. One, this year with the bragging rights game moving onto the campus, it was really a pandemic one-off. We flipped a coin to see which venue would host. And then to Missouri's credit, and this was agreed to beforehand, they operated the game like a neutral site game. So they had comparable intro videos for both teams. The announcer didn't show favoritism one way or the other. The fans were given equal seats. The game was, of course, played in their venue, but we tried to neutralize it the best that we could. We just weren't comfortable playing in St. Louis at that juncture in the pandemic. So the game next year will not come to Champaign. It will be played back in St. Louis. Illinois will be the home team, and we'll get back on our rhythm there in St. Louis for the bragging rights. Now, what we are going to do is we have a football game. Now we're restarting our football series with them, I believe, in 2026. And unlike when we played that game back in the early to mid 2000s, that game will not be played in St. Louis. That will be a home and home series. And I believe we're now scheduled to play, I want to say it's 8 times in 10 years. I think we play a 4-game stretch, maybe take 2 years off, and then play 4 more games. And so we're excited about that, a chance to play a game back against a geographic rival like Missouri, and to be able to bring it onto our campus here in the Memorial Stadium, we think is something that our fans will be really excited about. And looking forward to getting that game started here in a few years.
So Josh, the fall seems like so far away yet like tomorrow, and we've had a couple questions come through about what the football season may look like, and capacity limits at Memorial Stadium, and what that might mean for season ticket holders in the fall. So I didn't know if you wanted to comment on any plans that are in place now, obviously knowing that things are still very in limbo as we go here.
Sure. As I mentioned, we'll be putting public season football tickets on sale yet this week. We hope our fans will be excited about that. We know there's a lot of pent-up energy around the football team and the chance to get back here and enjoy some fall Saturdays. We don't know yet what capacity limits will be when we get to the fall. We're prepared to pivot as needed as we get closer to the season. But for now, we know we want to get as many people in that building as we can. And if at some point the capacity limits are such that we've oversold, then we'll deal with that as it happens. But we're going to keep our fingers crossed that the virus continues to cooperate, that we continue on the positive path that we're on right now, and hopefully we'll be in a position to just open the doors, as I said, on August 28th when we play Nebraska. But so we're gonna start getting those tickets on sale soon. We're going to ask people to buy in and show up and rekindle those fall memories. And if something, whether it's the state, the Big Ten, the university, reaches a determination as the season approaches that we need a more restricted capacity, then we will certainly be prepared to pivot as appropriate.
We've had a couple questions about D1 men's hockey and obviously the downtown Champaign arena development. Obviously with COVID, that's affected that, I'm sure, but any updates or thoughts there?
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. There's been, I think, as we move out of the pandemic here over the coming months, and as time passes and we have a chance to reflect back on history and think about what truly was changed because we experienced the pandemic. Illinois hockey, at least from the perspective of the Illinois athletic program, will be high on that list. As some of you may have heard me say in different settings, we were prepared to make an announcement and a decision on hockey last spring. I think we were anticipating doing that sometime in April, May. We felt like we had resolved all the open questions that we had. What of course transpired was almost a year ago to the day, the world changed. And a lot of things changed, not just for us, but for different partners who had agreed to be a part of that project. And so it's really forced us, and I hope understandably, our attention has been focused on other things here over the last year, as we've really sucked all of our resources into just navigating this as effectively as we can. I do think as we start to emerge, we'll return our attention to the hockey question, and we'll re-engage with some of the partners who were slated to be a part of that project, and we'll just have to reassess, see where things stand, and chart a new course going forward once we get a handle on what that picture might be able to look like.
We've talked a good bit about men's basketball and obviously football, but switching gears to women's basketball for a moment here. We had a question saying we have a Hall of Fame women's basketball coach, but the team's conference record maybe doesn't reflect the wins and losses success. So how do you see this improving in the years ahead?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I give Coach Vay so much credit. She's come on board, and women's basketball has always been a little bit of a mystery for us. It's a program that hasn't had great tradition here at the University of Illinois. It should have, candidly, and so it's a big effort on that front to try and build something. And I give Nancy a lot of credit because she stayed the course. She continues to swing hard. She made some changes on her staff last summer, which I thought have the potential to be very beneficial. It's unfortunate, again, because of the pandemic. Some of the strengths of this new staff, I think, are their recruiting, their chance to get out and be involved with student athletes, both current and future. And the pandemic has really limited their ability to do that and really to spread their wings and show their effectiveness. And so I'm excited about this coming off season for them. I think they've got a chance to take some special strides. They've got a young group of players that has really emerged as the nucleus for their team. They've got a handful of sophomores and a couple freshmen who I think have shown tremendous promise. And so I'm encouraged by the direction they're headed. It hasn't shown itself in the wins and losses yet. I certainly recognize that, and nobody is more motivated to see that change than Coach Fay. And so they had a great win to wrap up the regular season against Minnesota the other night. They'll open the Big Ten tournament tomorrow night against Wisconsin. I would love to see them get the win there, and then we'll work with Coach to get them moving forward here during the off season, and looking forward to them taking a nice step as they head into the 21-22 season.
So Josh, Bobby Roundtree is obviously somebody that's been in the thoughts of Illini Nation for quite a while now. Nancy M wrote in and asked if there were any updates on Bobby and if the fund was still active for those that wish to contribute to that fund.
Great question. Bobby's, of course, someone who's very special to this athletic program, this university. I think he always will be. And certainly as long as I'm here, there will be a commitment from Illinois Athletics to support Bobby, to provide him great opportunities, both in terms of his education, his care, and his rehabilitation. We've been in regular communication with him. We had a Zoom with him just as recently as 10 days or 2 weeks ago. He's doing well. He continues to make nice progress. Of course, the steps are incremental, but he's doing really well. He's such a remarkable guy. He's got a tremendous work ethic, and he's applied what made him very successful on the football field now to tackling this new challenge in his life. And so we're very supportive of him in that. He continues to be enrolled in school. He's an active student for us, and we're in conversations with him about what his next steps are. Does he want to come back to Champaign? Does he want to stay in Florida where he is currently? And we've got some different ideas about what some of those different opportunities could look like. And the fund does remain active, and we are always looking to help generate resources for him. The athletic program continues to fund a lot of his expenses as well, and we're just excited about his future and committed to being a very active part in helping him shape that future.
So I think this is something we can all relate to. Looking beyond the pandemic in a few years, what are you most excited about focusing on in the future? And do you have a pet project that maybe you're thinking about when we're post-pandemic?
I have a lot of pet projects. I think that if we've seen anything these last 5 years, it's that we're going to be aggressive. We're going to be ambitious. We've got, I think, a pretty bold vision for where we want this athletic program to go. I will tell you that one project that really resonates in my heart for obvious reasons is I would love to see us continue the renovation of Memorial Stadium. I believe it's one of the most special buildings in the state of Illinois. The historical significance of that space, both as a memorial to those who have fallen in wartime, but also in terms of the games that have been played in that building, the individual performances that we've seen both for the Illini and for some of our opponents, makes that one of the most storied places in college football history. And we know that we've been able to make some really meaningful changes to that building, particularly on the west and the north ends. We haven't yet been able to do that to the east and the south ends. That is a project that will be very expensive. And we're continuing to work through what that funding model could look like. But at the right time, I would love to hit the green light on that building and move it forward. It needs it, and it deserves it. And so it's one that we're going to continue to pay attention to here in the years to come.
So Eric wrote in and asked if there were any plans to play a basketball game at the United Center again in the near future.
as we said when we made that change to move away from the United Center game a couple of years back now, we will always have a special place for the United Center. I think we'll always go back there on now an infrequent basis. I should say an irregular basis, not infrequent, an irregular basis. We understand the importance of having visibility in Chicago. And so the short answer is we don't have any immediate plans to be back at the United Center, but it is important to us that we play in Chicago, that we have that opportunity both for our recruits, our players, but just as importantly for all of you who live in the Chicagoland area and who want a chance to come watch us in your own backyard. And so I don't know exactly when that will happen, but there is a commitment from us to remaining active in Chicago. And we're every year we're in conversations with the coaching staff about when is the right time to take that trip back north.
So Josh, we've certainly seen a lot of our teams currently playing have some really good success. Kevin Hall wrote in and asked, with men's tennis beating #1, men's golf beating most of the SEC a few weeks ago, any speculation to how many national titles we might see here in the next few months?
Again, I love the question. I love the optimism, love the passion. We're fortunate here. We have several programs and we talk about all the time. I think all of our sports have the same objectives, and we want to win Big Ten and national championships. What's different is that each sport is, of course, at a different position along the spectrum. And as you've rightly hit on, we have several this year that are well positioned to make that run. Talking about golf, which is, of course, the only accolade that is left unfilled for Mike Small and his incredible tenure leading our men's golf program is the national championship. You could say the same thing for Brad Dancer. Our men's tennis team is one that is perennially in the Sweet 16, often in the Elite Eight. We've got a chance, again, with some of these returning players to take a nice step forward there. And then, of course, with men's basketball, truly perhaps a once in a lifetime or once in a generation squad. And so no predictions, but I can tell you that there's a lot of energy inside the walls of the Illinois athletic program right now. We're very proud. I'm pleased with the culture we built. There's a lot of people, other coaches, other student athletes, everybody's rallying around each other and cheering on for their success. And that's what makes it special when you know that other people within the program are every bit as active and engaged in the success of the other teams as they are in the success of their own.
So Josh, I know you spoke about this a bit earlier as well, but we've had a couple questions about that extra year of eligibility for athletes across the board. Do you have a sense as to how attractive that may be? And we've had a couple folks ask specifically about Trent Frazier and DeMonte Williams and some other athletes, but do you have a sense how attractive that might be to athletes and coming back and maybe, amplifying their stock to go to the next level even?
Yeah, the short answer is I don't. I'd be speculating at this point. We've been so, particularly with regards to Trent and to DeMonte, we've been so laser focused on this season that we haven't sat down and engaged them in conversations about what might come next. And I think realistically, a lot of that may depend on what the next month holds for them. But across the board, all of our student athletes, it does provide some unique opportunities. In some cases, they're very excited about that. In other cases, they may have made other plans, right? All of our student athletes, again, they're so successful, not just in their sports, but in their academic pursuits and their social lives. They're well networked, they're well resourced. They've got opportunities professionally, whether it's in their sport or starting down a career path. And so many of them have put a good plan together to graduate at a certain time. They've done the right internships, they've connected with the right people, and they're excited to go off and start their lives. And for many of them who maybe aren't on full scholarships, but are on partial scholarships, that's to come back that extra year is a financial commitment from them, in some cases from their families. And so we're actively having those conversations with many of our student athletes from virtually all of our sports at this point. And it'll be interesting to see here over the next several months what those final numbers look like. And we're excited to welcome back whomever chooses to be a part of this next year. and hopefully to give them a final go around that is memorable and one that they can celebrate as they move off into the next phases of their lives.
So Josh, we opened with a bit of a light question, and our time is running short, so I'll close with a bit of a light question as well. We had someone ask what it's like hugging Kofi, and they hope that you're able to do that 9 more times and getting us the whole way to the finish line. Any thoughts there?
Well, if I said I didn't notice the traction that tweet got, I would be lying. It was pretty incredible to see. I think it's now been viewed like over 750,000 times. I've just got such a special place in my heart for all of our student athletes, but this year in particular, I've had the chance to spend a lot of time with our men's basketball team, and have really enjoyed getting to know Kofi and to watch him grow and develop as a person and as a player. And so I take a lot of pride in some of you who pay attention have seen me, whether it's football games, basketball games. I'm going to be at the corner of the field as they come off. I'm going to be at the corner of the court as they come off, win or lose. I think it's important that they know that I'm there to support them, that my care for them doesn't waver depending on the outcome of a particular game. But it sure is a lot more fun when we win. And it's been really special this season to get to be a part of some really memorable victories. And so when they come off, the emotion that you see there is very genuine. Those of you who know me best know that if I'm nothing if not genuine, and I really do feel strongly for these guys, and the enthusiasm that I'm displaying comes straight from the heart. And when I will say, when Kofi gave me that hug the other day, I'm a pretty big guy, and for him to heft me around like a rag doll there, he popped my back and set me down, and then came back for a second go around, and that was a moment I'll never forget, to be sure, and meant a lot to be able to share that with those guys. And again, just really excited about what the next month could hold for them.
Well, thank you so much, Josh. It's been an absolute pleasure to spend some time with you, and we know how busy you are, so we really appreciate you taking the time out and spending it with all of us on the call today. I'll turn it over to Jen for some final thoughts, and again, just really appreciate the time.
Everybody, thank you very much.
Thanks.
We're grateful for the support.
Thanks, David, and thanks, Josh. And thanks to all of you for being with us tonight. We hope you'll join us for our next program on March 25th, when Professor Adrian Burgos Jr. presents the program Hidden in Plain Sight, a look at the history of Latinos and African Americans in baseball. Also happening on March 25th is the launch of our new virtual book club. So please look for emails on both of those programs, as well as information on Alumni Link, our new mentoring and networking platform for alumni and students. And as always, you can check out our offerings at UIAA.org. Thank you again for being with us, and go Alumni.